Good morning. I'm going to walk you through how to do some division, and so it's going to end up being with some fractions involved, and we're going to kind of look at how this works and how it plays out. So the first one says 4 friends equally share 3 cookies. How many cookies did each friend get? So when we're talking about division, when we do it, we're going to have a what. So what is being divided? And that basically is our dividend. That's what that is called. And we're dividing it by our divisor. Basically what that means is that it is the who or how many. And so when we go through these questions, we're going to be looking for what is being divided, and we're going to be looking for who or how many is it being divided into. So let's look at this first one. The first one says 4 friends equally share 3 cookies. How many cookies did each friend get? So this is definitely our what. What is being divided? We're going to break up these 3 cookies. And when we do that, it's going to be between 4 friends. And when we do that, and that works out, we end up with a fraction of 3/4. It says each person is going to get a fraction of it because they are sharing it, and each person will get 3/4 of the cookie. So your answer would be 3/4. This one's a little bit different, kind of the same. And it says a group of 15 campers will share a 5-pound bag of potatoes equally. How many potatoes will each camper get? So again, we look for our what is being divided, and that's that 5-pound bag of potatoes. So I'm going to write 5 pounds of potatoes. And then I look back into my problem to see who or how many. And it ends up being 15 campers. So I have my 15 campers. Now, 5/15 is a fraction. However, 5 and 15 share the number 5 in common. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find an equivalent fraction. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say 5/15. And since I can count by 5s, I'm going to divide by 5 because 5 is a factor of both numbers. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. So 1/3 is an equivalent fraction, or it's the same fraction as 5/15. And so I'm going to say 1/3 of a pound. All right. The next one says a piece of wood 7 feet long is cut into 6 equal pieces. What is the length of each piece? So what is being cut? And it's this piece of wood that is 7 feet long. So I'm going to say 7 feet wood. And how many pieces? 6 equal pieces. Now this one gave us a different kind of fraction. This one gave us an improper fraction. And improper fractions happen when the number on top, your numerator, is bigger than the number on bottom, or your denominator. And this right here means we're going to cut. So 7 feet of wood cut into 6 pieces. So we have to do a little bit of division to figure this one out. And we're going to put 7 in our 6. And when we count by our multiples of 6, we go 6, 12. Well, 6 is going to be really close to 7, and 12 is way too big. So we counted 1, 6, and then we check it. 1 times 6 is 6. We subtract, and we bring over our remainder. So right now we have one whole piece and a remainder of 1. Well, if we want to write that as a fraction, this is our whole number. So we have 1 whole, and our remainder becomes our new numerator. This is where our remainder goes. And what we're dividing by doesn't change, so our denominator stays the same. So we have 1 whole and 1/6. All right, let's look at the next one. Number 4. And number 4 says, football practice is 3 hours long and is normally split equally into 2 parts: basic warm-up exercises and practicing football plays. How much time is spent practicing football plays? So we have 3 hours. And I want to find half of that. So I'm going to multiply that by 1/2. So I can figure out what that is if I want to take it and put it into 2 parts. 3 hours is a whole number. Well, you can't multiply a whole times a half. You need to do a fraction times a fraction. If you have a whole number, you can put a 1 underneath it, and it does not change what it is. It's saying, I have 3 whole pies and they're not cut. I have 3 whole hours and it's not cut. So it's before you do any putting into fractions. So you can leave it under 1. So I would say 3 times 1, because I'm going to do my numerator first, is 3. And 1 times 2 is 2. And both of those fall under the identity property. Anything times 1 gets to stay itself. Now, we have an improper fraction. And again, the number on top is bigger than the number on the bottom, so I have to divide. So I'm going to say, move this over, I'm going to say 3 divided by 2. And again, when I count by 2s, I can only count 1, 2 before I'm either as close to or equal to the number I'm looking for. So I'm going to put this on top, the 1 on top, and I'm going to say 1 times 2 is 2. And subtract, and again, I have a remainder of 1. All right, so now let's take my division and turn it back into a fraction. So this becomes my whole number, and my remainder is going to come to my numerator, and my divisor is still my denominator. So I have 1 whole and 1/2 of an hour. All right, number 5. Number 5 says the rectangle below is divided into 8 equal parts. To shade 1/4 of the rectangle, how many parts will need to be shaded? So we're going to do this one a little different. We're going to do it mathematically, and then we're going to do it with the visual puzzle, or the visual model. So I want to say 1/4 is equal to how many 8s? Okay. So now I think my multiples of 8, and I'm going to say 4, 8. And since it's 2 of them, I'm going to say times 2. So 4 times 2 is 8, and that is true. If you multiply by 2 on the denominator, you have to multiply by 2 on the numerator. So 1 times 2 is 2. So 1/4 is equivalent to 2 8s. And I'm going to come back up here, and if I cut this into 4ths, and I have 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4, I can see that this 1/4 is the same as 2 1/8s. So I would need 2 pieces. All right, last one for today. Number 6. Number 6 says a cookie recipe calls for 1 1/4 cup of sugar. Jennifer wants to make only 1/2 of the recipe. which multiplication model can she use to find the amount of sugar to use? So I'm going to say 1 and 1/4, and it told me that I'm going to times that by 1/2. All right, so I do not want to do a whole number and a fraction, a mixed number, times a fraction. I want to do a fraction times a fraction. So I'm going to take this number back into a improper fraction. So if I do that, this 1 whole represents 4 out of 4 pieces, because my denominator is 4, and to be the whole pie, I would have to have all 4 pieces. And this piece is 1/4. So if I add these together, 4 pieces plus 1 piece is 5 pieces, and my denominator will stay the same. Now I have 5/4, and 5/4 is equivalent to 1 and 1/4. So I'm going to say 5/4 times 1/2. So identity property, 5 times 1 is 5, and my denominator is 4 times 2 is 8. So 5/8 is half of 1 and 1/4, and that would be D.